Welcome to part 3 of our discussion on this article by Forbes Advisor. Robin Rothstein and Chris Jennings are the authors. Housing market predictions for 2023. When will home prices be affordable again? And this is my take on this article. We've already talked about the first 2 sections, breaking it down into a couple different sections because it's a really long article and a lot of really good information in here, a lot of interesting stuff. So this is part 3. Now we're talking about, will the housing market crash in 2023? And then will there be a lot of foreclosures in 2023? So let's jump into, will the housing market crash in 2023? I am going to just go out on a limb and say absolutely not. I do not see any way, shape, or form that this is going to happen. And let's see what their take is. So due in part to the ongoing inventory crunch, keeping home prices elevated, many economists predict the housing market is more likely to correct itself from the double-digit percentage jumps in home prices over the past few years rather than crash. Maybe. Definitely not crashing in my opinion. Will it have a correction? I feel like at least in Southwest Florida, we've already seen a correction. It already dropped and it's back up. Latest S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller Home Price Index aligns with that sentiment, showing signs that the housing market has experienced its correction and is now on its way to recovery. Index posted a month-over-month national price increase, 1.3% for April before the seasonal adjustment. After the seasonal adjustment, the month-over-month increase was 1.7%. Third consecutive month of modest national increases following decreases over 7 straight months. Hence my opinion. Southwest Florida is following kind of a similar process. Our decreases happened right after the hurricane in September. At about the beginning of the year, January, we've started seeing most of Southwest Florida markets increase since then. So yet, like FHFA HPI, regional patterns expose stark differences in price trajectories, with top performing Miami on a 9-month home price gain hot streak, coming in with a 5.2% month-to-month gain. West Coast pandemic boomtowns, Seattle and San Francisco, bringing up the rear at negative 12.4 and negative 11.1 respectively. So there are definitely some places where prices are up, some places where prices are down. If I were trying to make a case that the decline in home prices that began in June 2022 had definitely ended in January 2023, April's data would bolster my argument, said Craig Lazara, managing director at S&P DJI in the report. So whether we see further support for that view in coming months will depend on how well the market navigates the challenges posed by current mortgage rates and the continuing possibility of economic weakness. Despite some areas seeing declines, experts point out that today's homeowners stand on much more secure footing than those coming out of the 2008 financial crisis, with many borrowers having positive equity in their homes. Consequently, the likelihood of a housing market crash is low. Homeowner equity is at the highest level it's been in the past several decades, so homeowners have a lot of value in their homes, says Nicole Bouchard, an economist at Zillow, which in my area, you're talking near 70% of people have huge amounts of equity in their homes. And so any likelihood of the market crashing, I think, is extremely, extremely limited. Will there be a lot of foreclosures in 2023? No, I don't believe there will be a lot per se. Are they up? Yes, of course they're up. As the market softens, they're always going to be up, because what we see with the market softening is people who bought their homes recently, very recently, may have trouble. So yes, they're going to be up, especially as as we see the increases slow. And if we see economic issues, people start losing jobs, things like that, layoffs happening, that sort of thing. Yes, there's potential for there to be an increase in foreclosures, and there has been. So here we go. In May, foreclosure filings were up 7% from April, 14% from last year. Foreclosure completions were up 38% from the previous month and 41% from a year ago. So they're processing the foreclosures that they weren't processing previously. And there are more filings happening, but it's not out of alignment with what is expected. They were, again, during COVID, just like sales were crazy high during that pandemic time period, foreclosures were crazy low because they weren't allowing foreclosures. The government put a moratorium on people being foreclosed because they couldn't make their payments. So there were no foreclosures being processed. So yes, the numbers are going to be skewed, just like the sales numbers were skewed. So here we go at the bottom. While foreclosure rates are up year over year, experts do not expect to see a wave of foreclosures in 2023. Even in areas with depreciating home values, many homeowners have substantial equity due to progressive home price appreciation in recent years. So unless they bought very recently, the likelihood is they're going to have significant equity, even in those areas like up here that we talked about in Seattle and San Francisco, where prices are down 12 and 11 and 12%. If the prices went up 50% and they're only down 11 or 12, there's still a lot of equity there. So at the end of the day, if you're banking on the market to crash, if you're banking on foreclosures, stop banking on bad things happening to people and just go out there and buy a good deal. When should you buy a home in 2023? Well, they're going to go into the standard. Buying a home in any market is a highly personal decision because homes represent the largest single purchase most people will make in their lifetime. So it's crucial to be in a solid financial position before diving in. Of course, absolutely. It's going to depend on your market. In Southwest Florida, I don't see there being a crash. I don't see there being a big drop. We've already seen it. We've seen it a couple times, and people keep saying, I'm waiting for it to go down. I'm waiting for it to go down. I'm waiting for it to go down. Well, every time it goes down, they don't jump in because they're expecting like a 20, 30% drop instead of a 4 or 5% drop. Take advantage of the small blips, but those small blips come with a problem on the other end usually. And the reason we've had those small blips is typically in correlation with big jumps in interest rate. So your affordability actually goes down during those times, even though, yeah, cool, prices went down, but now you're paying 3% higher interest than what you would have paid before the price went down. So was it really helpful? No, it actually cost you more a month. So trying to predict what might happen this year is not the best home buying strategy. Buyers sitting on the sidelines today in anticipation of lower prices tomorrow may end up disappointed. Likely. That comes from Nida Nawab, president of the U.S. region at Compass, a real estate tech company. The housing market, like so many other markets, is almost impossible to time. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. Best time for prospective buyers is when they find a home that they like, that meets their family's current and foreseeable needs, and that they can afford. Getting on the housing ladder is worthwhile to begin building equity and net worth. I agree, 100%. Instead of waiting for much lower prices, experts suggest buying a home based on your budget and needs. If you find a home that you love in an area you love and it also fits your budget, then chances are it's right for you. However, if you make too many sacrifices just to get a home, you may end up with buyer's remorse, potentially forcing you to offload the home. Agreed as well. But look at your needs, not your wants. If we stop trying to keep up with the Joneses and look at what you actually need in a home, the likelihood is the majority of the things that you are saying you want are just that, they are wants. Look at what you need. Look at what you expect to need over the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 years, maybe. What are your expectations of your needs moving forward? And try and find something that fits those needs and stop worrying so much about the wants. And the likelihood is you can probably find a home that fits all of those and that works in your budget. If we start looking at those things, homes get a little bit more affordable because you're looking at different homes. You're looking at less expensive homes. Take advantage of that. That's my take on it. Tips for buying in today's housing market are pretty standard, but we'll go ahead and go through them. Even as prices soften, you may realize that the area where you want to buy a home in is still out of reach, so it's important to be flexible. Look at other areas. Look at surrounding areas. You might have to go a little bit further out, but if you have the ability to get to and from work, or like this next paragraph says, work from home, switching jobs to something that allows you to live in an area that's not quite as expensive, then you can get more home. Always, always, always get your ducks in a row in advance. So review your financial situation, gather all your required documents, talk to multiple lenders, Do everything you can to make sure you have the best credit score possible, because that's going to help you get the best interest rates, best loan programs. However, don't think that you have to have perfect credit in order to be able to buy something. Go talk to a lender or call me and I'll connect you with a good lender that'll look at everything and tell you where you're at and tell you. A lot of lenders will give you simple tips and advice. You'd be surprised at how little things you can make, little tweaks that will massively increase your credit score and increase your buying power. So talk to a lender first. They can provide you that information. If the lender that you talk to doesn't provide you that information, let's find you somebody that does. The lenders I work with are always looking at ways to help clients out, help our clients find little tweaks and easy, simple things that don't require shelling out, paying off a car loan and things like that. Those are last resort type situations. Let's help find ways to increase your credit and increase your buying power. If you do those things and you're ready to go, it puts you in a much better position to act fast with the market being fairly tight. Only the best prepared with their financing lined up, a solid understanding of what they can afford, and constant checking of prices and listings will be successful in today's highly competitive market. Know how much your monthly payment will be, complete with taxes, and how well that fits into your budget. So that's the other thing. A lot of people go and get a pre-approval and, they're pre-approved for $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, but they don't know what that mortgage payment's going to look like. Maybe you're not comfortable with the payment at $600,000. I don't know. That's up to you. I can't decide that. Just because you qualify for it doesn't mean you're comfortable making that payment. Talk to your lender, ask these questions, find out what your payment's going to be. Obviously, if you don't have an exact home, you're not going to know exactly what the taxes and insurance are going to be, but we can typically give you a pretty accurate rough estimate. This section right here is extremely important, of course. Maybe I'm a little biased, but getting to know a local realtor where you're hoping to buy can potentially give you a crucial edge in a tight housing market. Find out what your options are with a reputable, experienced agent. A lack of inventory means buyers should expect plenty of competition, especially in more affordable areas and for more affordable homes. However, if you're a first-time homebuyer, you should be especially careful when choosing an agent. There are a lot of agents that don't really know the first-time homebuyer programs and what's available to you and how that works. Give us a call. We're very experienced in that area. When the markets shift, you want to hire an expert who's been there before, has a pulse on all the changes happening in your desired neighborhood, and works well with your loan officer. I agree. Tips for selling in today's housing market. Sellers should make sure to work with an agent in order to get their pricing right. That is very important. Pricing is extremely important in this current market. Because of interest rates where they are, buyers are very, very price conscious. They're paying very close attention, and it can literally be the difference between a few hundred or a few $1,000s as to whether you are getting any showings or no showings, or whether you're getting offers or not getting offers. Also advises sellers to take steps sooner rather than later to get their houses ready to sell. Top regret we hear from sellers year after year is that they wish they'd started prepping their home for sale sooner. Yes, and don't neglect your online curb appeal. Also advises sellers to include a 3D home virtual tour or an interactive floor plan in their listings. He reports that listings that utilize these virtual tools on Zillow get 69% more page views and 80% more saves. This also comes from somebody who works for Zillow. I don't disagree, but part of Zillow's strategy in getting realtors to include those things and to use Zillow specifically, because Zillow now has their own photography company also, is to entice realtors to use these things. By the part of the reason they get more views and more saves is because you get better placement on Zillow if you use these things. And so that is the end of the article. Thanks for watching, everybody. As always, hit me up if you got any questions, if you want to know how this affects you specifically, your current situation. Let's talk about it. Give me a shout.